Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner podcast. My name is Scott. I'll be your host today. I got a solo podcast for you today. We are going to recap the Phoenix Marathon. Well, at least we're going to recap 17 miles of the Phoenix Marathon. Not to give away the ending here. I think most of you probably know by now what it was. But yeah, it's going to be an unhappy recap of the Phoenix Marathon. We're going to get to that in just a moment. This week's podcast sponsor is Crotch Guard, a huge sponsor of the Ordinary Marathon, by the way. If you haven't signed up for the Ordinary Marathon, head on over to ordinarymarathon.com. We still got a couple months to go, but registration is still open, filling up fast. So get on over there, register for the race. It's a virtual race. We're also doing a live 5K if you can make it in Longmeadow, Massachusetts, which is just local to us. But there's also a virtual 5K on that day that you can participate in as well. Love to see it there. Anyway, Crotch Guard is a major sponsor. Obviously, they are skin oil that handles sort of like that chafing issue that all of us runners, all of us, especially cyclists, we all get it. We all need to protect against it. And, hey, look, you might as well throw it in the name if that's what you do. What do? They guard. You got it. You know exactly what they guard. So we want to thank them, though, for helping us out and glad to have them aboard. As always, you can find this and the back episodes of our podcast at our website, ordinarymarathoner.com. You can also find them at the aggregators, places like Stitcher, TuneIn, and iTunes. If you like the show, hit that subscribe button. Never miss a new episode that way. You also could leave us a review. We love seeing those reviews. If you love the show, hook us up. 5 stars is nice. If you're not going to leave 5 stars, hey, give me a call. Let me know what I'm doing wrong. Let me know how I can improve. We'll work something out. Anyway, we also got our YouTube channel up and going. I actually didn't upload the last podcast. I totally forgot to do it. So I'm going to be doing that today. Uploading it to YouTube, just the audio only of the podcast. We also got Stephanie's Couch to 5K series. Since I've been out of town, we didn't put one together for this week yet, but we're going to be doing that probably this afternoon. Looking forward to getting that done and getting that out for you guys. You can also find our Facebook group. It's called Ordinary Marathoners. It's a discussion group. It is really supportive. I can't tell you how much support I felt from them this weekend. I love you guys. That was awesome. Felt really great. To have sort of a disappointing weekend and just not a bad word from you guys, not one critical word. And I know you're all out there judging. Everyone's judging. I get it. But you guys are awesome. And thanks for all the support. And my Twitter account over there too is, on Twitter. You can find me at Ord Marathoner. That's ORD Marathoner. Follow me there. I'll follow you back. You can also find us at Ordinary Race. That is the page for the Ordinary Marathon. And same deal there. You follow us there, we'll follow you back and get the conversation going on over there as well. So with that, let us turn to Phoenix, the Phoenix Marathon. Now, last episode, we did a whole race plan on how I was going to attack Phoenix. And like I said, there's no reason to sugarcoat it here. I DNF'd. I ran 17 miles. I got to the 17-mile aid station and decided I had enough. And, and I gotta say, as soon as I made that decision to do that, a lot of things went through my mind. What am I going to tell people? What am I going to tell, what am I going to do? How is this going to look that I run a page called Ordinary Marathoner and I can't finish a damn marathon? How's it going to look? What are the optics here? How many people are out there judging me? How many people are out there passing judgment saying, oh, he doesn't train hard enough. He doesn't work hard enough. Doesn't diet well enough. Spends too much time talking on his podcast and not enough out there running. Spends too much time on his bike. He's Zwifting now. How many people are out there judging me? Maybe you are. You're probably right too. All of you guys are probably right. In some way or another. But the fact of the matter is I didn't want to come here and tell you guys that either lie about, oh, I finished. Yeah, I finished. I don't know. They just must not have me in the record. Or I didn't want to say, oh, I got injured when I didn't really get injured. There's no excuse. There's no real excuse. I mean, I'll give you the reasons why, why I made the decision to pull it. We'll get to that in a minute, but you know, you guys can pass judgment as you want if you like, and that's fine. Knowing my group, they're going to probably listen to this and they're going to say, hey, this is, you know, that was a good decision. B, it was a bad decision. You know, this is what you could have done differently. Obviously you did this wrong. What were you thinking? All that stuff I can handle. You know what? And when it comes to being an ordinary marathoner, you know, I'm not a pro here. I'm not qualifying for Boston. I'm not, you know, this is a possibility for me. You know, when I screw up, this is what happens. So if you're an ordinary marathoner, maybe this is a lesson for you. This is a good, you know, I might as well pay the price, and you guys can learn from my mistakes, and I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to be there for you. So this is the way it goes. I mean, you know, I had a guy reach out to me. I'm not gonna say his name because I don't want to embarrass him or anything, and just say that, you know, he DNF'd a marathon, and he felt like he couldn't go on Twitter afterwards for weeks, months, and I get that because I kind of felt that. You know, I felt sort of that, it's almost like shame, you know? It's like, here I am running, you know, posting about all I'm doing right and showing you guys all my workouts and stuff and thinking I'm going to do great and posting a pre-race thing about how I'm going to beat Oprah and all this stuff. And then I bail at mile 17. So, but I'm not going to hide from it. I can't. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is. And, but I feel it, and I understand that feeling of disappointment in yourself, disappointing others. And, yeah, and at times there were, you know, I was like, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in the race. Let's recap the race. You know, before I even get into it, I do want to thank a bunch of people. I went out and met a friend of mine, Sanjay, and his wife Nancy, and Chris Walsh and his wife Christine. Sanjay and Chris were doing the full. Sanjay PR'd. Chris came close to his goal, his A goal for the race. Congratulations, you guys! You did an awesome job. Christine ran the half. I think she got hurt. She got banged up, but I think she finished it. Good for you, Christine. Congratulations on that. I want to thank, who else? A couple people I want to thank. My friend Harry Burns, his wife Erin, for taking me in. Probably dealing with a little bit manic me the day after. It was the day of. I met my friend Harry out, and we kind of threw a few back, and I was able to kind of get this out of my mind and let it sort of clear, which was good. So I want to thank my buddy Harry and seeing him and his wife and his 3 kids, Kate, Emily, and Liam. What a great time we had. You guys are awesome. Really a lot of fun. And you probably don't even know, like, I was really kind of upset at myself, but I really had a blast with you guys. So thanks. It meant a lot. And I met this lady at breakfast. Actually, I think I met her in the hotel before. She came in 3rd in her age group for the half marathon, and her name is Annie Oakley. Which is an awesome name. What a great name. Easy to remember. But really, we had a great conversation at breakfast one morning. She just was by herself. I said, hello, how you doing? We just sat down, started talking about the race. And, yeah, what an awesome, it was just, you meet some amazing people here. You really do. So anyway, I think maybe the way we do this is I'll give you the story of the race. I'll try to do as best as I can like that. So you could see where I kind of failed and what, where my mind should be, what I should be thinking about. And then we'll go from there and we'll kind of analyze it at the end. So, I got into Phoenix. I took inventory of all my stuff, and right away I realized that I forgot 2 things at home. I laid out everything. I had 2 queen beds, so I slept in one, and I laid out all my racing gear on the other. And right away, because I didn't want to mess around, and right away I realized I left my base salt at home, which is a possibility for me because I do keep it in the gym. I don't keep it kind of with everything else because I use it from time to time. Although lately I hadn't been using it. So number 1, I left my base salt at home, and I wasn't too concerned immediately about that because, well, I figured they had Gatorade Endurance on the trail at the aid stations, and that's what I've been using lately. I haven't even been using the base salt. I've just been using my mix of the Gatorade Endurance. And so basically when I'm home, I take a swig, a good swig of the Gatorade Endurance every mile. I have a couple bottles. I even have a 3rd bottle there. And I generally take probably a full bottle in slightly less than an hour. right? So maybe 5 miles it takes me, five swigs to down a whole bottle, which is like 22 ounces. So I'm thinking, all right, there's Gatorade on the course. I don't need the base salt. Even worse is that I'm at the expo, and there's the nutrition counter, and there are salt tabs right there. They don't, now base salt is kind of like, it's not really sold. I don't know why. It should be more out there in retail because it is worth it. They should really be pushing that a little bit more, I feel like. But they do have salt tabs at that, and I could have got online. The line was tremendous though. It was really long, and I'm thinking, I still got the Gatorade Endurance, so I didn't bother. I didn't bother with the salt tabs. You can see where this is going. The number 2 thing I forgot was a long sleeve t-shirt. I wanted to kind of put a long sleeve shirt, and not even a t-shirt, more of like a tech shirt. I wanted to put one underneath my running shirt just because I know last year was really cold. But that got solved as well because it turned out the weather wasn't so bad. It was in the low 40s when we started, and I went to the wall. This place was so convenient. My hotel was right near the start, right near the finish, which is also where the buses pick you up to take you to the start, which is in a huge shopping complex with a giant Walmart there, which is fun enough to go to. But I was able to pick up sweatpants for like $6 and a big sweatshirt for like $5. It was wonderful. So not having that undershirt is probably actually a good thing because A, I got some really good deals at Walmart. But B, if I had worn that under, I think it would have been too much. Because it got a little bit hotter later on. And, I wasn't going to actually take off the undershirt if it was underneath my ordinary marathon shirt. So, in the end, that wasn't such a bad deal. But anyway, 2 things forgotten. But it kind of shows where my head was. It was just missing. I felt like I was packed. I wasn't. It wasn't good. So race day morning, and, I kind of wake up and I go through my routine. I felt like I slept like a baby. I slept awesome. I had to get up at 3:30, so I fell asleep at 7:30, which wasn't as hard as you think, since I was coming from 2 hours ahead, from 2-hour time zone ahead. Fell asleep at 7:30, and woke up in the middle of the night. One of those things where you don't know how long you slept and how much sleep you have left to go, right? And it's one of those things you're like, you don't want to look at the clock because you're afraid it's going to show like, for me waking up at 3:30, I'm afraid it's going to say like 3:25 and I have no time left to sleep. But I did feel like I got a really good rest. And so finally I just kind of roll over, look at the clock. 9:30. I wonder, isn't that the greatest feeling in life? When you roll over in the middle of the night and you wake up and you look over and you have like 6 hours left to sleep. Isn't that it's like there's no other feeling quite like that. But anyway, I got a great night's sleep. I felt like I ate properly the day before. I got up and I had my normal breakfast, oatmeal, banana, Gatorade, and I bring sort of a nutrition bar. In this case, it was a Kind bar with peanuts, which I've eaten before. I'm not scared of. And I brought that with me on the bus. I wasn't really quite sure how I was going to pack for this trip and what I was going to carry with me. I can't carry my cell phone with me. It just doesn't fit in my arm sleeve, and I don't have a belt or anything like that I carry it with. So, initially I was going to bring it and do the bag drop. And then I was thinking, all right, I'm going to do the bag drop. That's great. Like I'll just, and I made this decision last minute because I don't usually do the bag drop. And I think that comes from just my first few marathons were in New York City and Fort Lauderdale, and the bag drops were inconvenient. So I never did them. And so now it's just like, that's part of the routine is I don't use them. But I should have used it. And what happened was I got up that morning and I went to go get the bag, and I had thrown it out the day before by accident, thinking it was a different bag. And now I didn't have a bag to put together, but I wasn't too upset about that either. Because you know what? Whatever. I just leave the phone. I texted Stephanie. I said, I'm leaving my phone in the hotel. No big deal. So you can hear Ellie crying upstairs. So I apologize for that. But anyway, I wasn't too upset about that. And I had an armband, and in the armband I have my license, I have my hotel key. I bring like $40 with me in case there's something I want to spend money on after the race, or in case I need a cab ride home, whatever. Just in case money. And it's not weighing me down or anything. So then I go to the bus. Again, I'm feeling great. I feel like I'm really well prepared. Like I'm not concerned about anything. Even though, looking back, I didn't bring any goo gels. I'm figuring Gatorade Endurance. That's all I need. Gatorade Endurance. So I got nothing in my pockets. I got wipes and that's it. That's all I got. Gatorade Endurance is going to take me home this day. That's my theory. And I'm not even really concerned with the nutrition part. I feel like I haven't really screwed up that part. So I walked to the bus. Now, the difference between last year and this year is last year, the marathon and full marathon, the half marathon and full marathon, the buses were in the same spot, which was like a quarter mile from my hotel. This year, they moved the full marathon buses to a different spot, which was about 3/4 of a mile. So a longer walk for me, which isn't, I mean, not really a big deal. But I left the hotel at 4:15 and the last bus leaves for the start. Cause yeah, the bus is a point to point. So the bus has to drive 26.2 miles. The buses are, so it's like a 15-minute walk and I get to the bus and there's a little line, but they're on it there. Phoenix Marathon was on this part. They get you right on the bus. I sat in the very last row. There was like a one-seater. I don't have any friends, so I sit by myself. I'm cool with that. I'm good with being in my own head. I kind of like being in my own head anyway before a race. So I'm sitting in the back of the bus and, thinking about the race, and I'm like, all right, how much time do I have left before the start? Go to look at my watch. No watch. Garmin. No Garmin. I took off my Garmin the night before, and I put it in the charger to make sure I had a full charge. I didn't want to risk not having, losing charge during the race. Then I left it in the charger. No watch. And I'm thinking, I got an immediate decision to make now because the bus is like ready to go, and I'm in the last row. And I'm thinking, all right, now if I leave the bus, I got to run back to the hotel and then run back to the bus. That's like 1.5 miles of running before I got to do a marathon. I don't want to do that. And I'm thinking, this isn't going to be worth it. I shouldn't do it. Bus doors close. Now I can't do it. And I'm driving on the bus and all I keep thinking about, all right, what is the deal here? And I'm thinking about the podcast that we did and how I talked about running my pace without looking at the watch, and just trying to run easy. And I'm like, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. And even more so, I'm going to look for the pacers and kind of find the pacers where I want to run and try to just monitor where they are and stay at the pace I want to do. And that's fine. That'll bring me home. They'll bring me in. But I'm still concerned. It's like in the back of your head, like, ugh. And my concern is this race, the way it's set up, the first half marathon, so much of it is downhill that I'm concerned that my pace is going to be way too fast. Now my other problem, I think, was the bus gets there and they let you sit on the bus if you want. But it wasn't super cold outside. It wasn't as cold as last year. And they have fires and heaters and all this stuff outside. And I talked to Chris Walsh the day before and he's like, look, I get there early. I'll find a fire and I'll just stand around it till it starts. I'm thinking that sounds nice. I could also sit on the bus. I think I probably let Chris talk me into going to the fire. And it's not his fault. It's my own fault. He's a veteran of this race. He's done it a couple times before. And that's his routine. And look, he's a nice guy. I kind of wanted to hang out with someone. I didn't want to be by myself the whole time. Although I could do that too. It's not a problem. But, so I got out of the bus and I just walked and found him and we sat there and we're kind of just all huddled around a fire, which is kind of nice. But the thing was, I was there like an hour and 15, hour and a half before the race, which means I'm standing there. I didn't sit down on the ground. I didn't, and this kind of thing will fatigue legs. I mean, right now, look at me right now. I'm sitting behind a desk. This is what I do all day. I'm not used to being on my feet all day. Yes, I train, but I'm not used to being on my feet. And if I can, I should be getting off of them. And I should have in the very least, I should be sitting on the ground before the race. But I didn't. I stood up for like an hour and a half before the race. And waited for the start. And now they do a good job and they tell you not to pee in the cactus because God knows you don't want to get anything like that. They scare you with the snakes and the rattlesnakes and the scorpions, but I don't think that they're out there in the cold. So it's pretty safe. You can go in. A lot of people going in, taking a leak in the desert anyway. But whatever, there wasn't enough, and as every race, there's never enough bathrooms there. But I was actually, when I started this race, everything was good. I felt like my nutrition was on. I felt like I was warm enough. I felt like I prepared enough. I really, coming off of that Hartford Marathon in October, even with not doing a long run and training more than 14 miles, I felt like I had a good race plan. I felt prepared. I felt ready to go. So the gun goes off and I locate these pacers, and I had no idea what pacers they had. I found a 4:35 and a 4:50. Now 4:50 was my goal, really my A goal. So I knew I kind of wanted to finish just ahead of her. And I knew we were going to be going downhill. So I saw the 4:35 pacer, and I kind of put myself between the 4:35 and the 4:50, figuring that was going to be fine for the downhill portion. And I started going, and I'm like, all right, just make sure you stay behind, don't pass the 4:35 and don't let the 4:50 pass you. That's my whole plan. So I'm running, and right away, I'll tell you, one of the problems with not having the watch was there are times you have no idea. So I think I missed seeing mile marker 3. I just didn't see it when we passed it. And you're running, and I'm probably running at mile like 3.5, and I'm thinking in my brain, like, geez, I haven't passed mile 3 yet. Like, how far behind? And then you find mile 4, and you're like, oh, okay. Back on track. Like, I'm just lost without my Garmin. When you run with it every single time, I am lost. I didn't know what my pace was. At mile 3, I got a glimpse of the 4:35 pacer ahead of me, which means I was probably going too fast. Now, I did have, that A+ goal that maybe I could beat Oprah if I got to half marathon. I felt really good. So in the back of my head, I'm going, all right, maybe this isn't too bad. Now, Oprah's a 4.5, so I would have to finish 5 minutes ahead of the 4:35 pacer. But at that point, it wasn't really my goal. I just was trying to run whatever natural pace I felt that was fairly easy down this hill. Now at mile 4, really, I guess at mile 2, there was a tiny uphill that I did walk a little bit. And I was trying to be conscious of that because I didn't really practice a lot of hills. I did a lot of bike work, and I thought that would help. But I didn't practice a lot of hills, up or down. Obviously, if you're running a treadmill, there's no downhill. I think some treadmills might have them, but even this downhill though, it was subtle. It wasn't like a tremendous huge downhill that like you're out of control running down. They were very controllable downhills, and I'm sitting there thinking about the advice I got from people like Mike Taruso and Chris Walsh, and about going down these hills and being careful. And I'm also thinking about Ray Magana, who ran this race the year before and told me, dude, this is tougher than you think. You are going to, and the thing with me and Ray probably are more alike than me and Mike, or me and Chris, in that, we run, slower races. We're sort of, heavier built. We're not like these skinny 150-pound guys. We're just built, thicker. So I liken myself more to Ray. Sorry, Ray, that's not like a fat joke. I hope you don't take it that way. I just think we're more alike that way. I liken myself more to Ray than I do to these other guys. So maybe I should have listened to Ray a little bit more. And so I was thinking about everyone's advice, and we got to mile 4. So mile 4, it turns uphill for like a mile and a half. And looking at it on the elevation chart, it looks like just a little bump on the road. Just a little bump. But it's tough. It is a tough uphill. And I'm pushing myself up this hill, and my legs are engaged. I did walk a little bit. I kind of forced myself to walk because I felt like I needed to. I felt like, again, I was going to pay for it in the long run if I didn't do a couple walk intervals. So maybe across the mile and a half, I did 2 fairly, I don't know, maybe 100-yard, maybe not even, probably 50-yard intervals of walking. But eventually I made it up the hill, and I felt good about it. And then somewhere around mile 7, I'm feeling great. Like, it's a downhill. I'm moving really well. My legs don't hurt. I've been to a couple of aid stations. Now, the aid stations, here was my problem on the aid stations. My problem was, it was twofold. Number one, it was, I'm sitting there with the fires with Chris, and I'm listening to a couple people talk about the race, the race aid station stuff that's there. And they said, oh, they don't use bottled water. They just use the local water, and I'm not from here, and I'm nervous. Now, look, this is in Mexico City. It's Phoenix, Arizona. So I wasn't really concerned about the water, and I've had it before the last year when I did that half marathon here, and I don't think I'm going to react to it. But this person putting this little nugget into my ear drove me a little nuts, because I'm thinking, all right, they have local water. It's in the water thing. They mix it with the Gatorade, and it's everywhere. And oh my God, is this going to like really kill me? I didn't think of this. And some guy saying, oh, I bring my own water. Chris Walsh said he stashed a water bottle halfway through. He's like, cause he lives near there. He's like, oh, I just stashed a water bottle at the halfway point. Whatever. I'm like, and I'm sitting there thinking, man, am I going to react to this stuff? Is it bad? So I go through the first aid station, and I get the Gatorade cups are smaller. And not only that, but when you get them, you don't know how much are in this. Some of them are filled like really like less than a quarter of the cup is filled. So you're taking like a shot of Gatorade, and the concentration, I could tell right away the concentration was more than I'm used to. They were more heavily concentrated than I'm used to. So I'm like, oh, they're putting a little more of it in there, and I'm trying to adjust, and I think I just didn't get it right. Normally when I'm on the bike, I can go through a bottle of this stuff in less than an hour. Or if I'm on the treadmill, I go through, every mile I'll take a good swig, and I'll finish the whole bottle in less than an hour, and on to the next bottle. And those bottles are like 22 ounces. So I don't know what I'm getting here. What I'm trying to do is do 2 Gatorades, not even knowing how much I'm getting, because some of the cups were just too inconsistent. And then I would grab a glass of water, which probably like 4 or 5 ounces. They're not even like, and I used, I don't know. I just felt like I wasn't getting enough. This is a little bit in retrospect, because again, at mile 7, I felt great. But yeah, I was certainly, and the water stations were further apart. They were more like 2 miles apart. And again, with the preparation here, I didn't look at the course map to see where the stations were. I didn't think to try to calculate how much I need to ingest to make up, for what I usually need. I just said, oh, Gatorade Endurance, they have it. Oh, yay, I don't need anything else. Didn't bring any goo gels, didn't bring my base salt, didn't get salt tabs. Nothing. Gatorade Endurance. That's my boy. Ugh, I could kill myself now. Mile 7 though, I'm feeling good. Through 7 to 10. I'm thinking, geez, maybe I get to the half marathon point. I could push this. All of a sudden, mile 10, things start breaking down. I don't know. So I did a walk interval at mile 10, and I did maybe a couple walk intervals, and I was like, all right, you got to get back running. And I'm still between the 4:35 pace. The 4:35 pacer is now gone, so I don't know where that pacer is. But I'm looking behind me, and I don't see the 4:50 pacer, so I'm feeling pretty good still. Somewhere around mile 10, I did a couple walk intervals, and there were cones in the street. That's what I used. I would walk 2 cones, and I would run 8. So I kept them wide intervals. And get to the half marathon point, and now the pain is really coming on strong. And I'm like, so I go to walk run intervals, and which was kind of the plan anyway, right? That was the backup plan. So now I'm at the walk run intervals, and now I find myself like really in pain. And and it's stupid me. Like, I don't even try to analyze it. I'm just like, wow, this hurts. It's a marathon. It hurts. This is what happens. I'm going to get better. I'll just get better. And lo and behold, I'm not getting better. So I'm running intervals now, and now the intervals are like 2 to 1. I'm doing telephone poles, 2 telephone poles running, 1 walking. They drop to 1 to 1. Now I'm doing 1, and I'm in pain, visibly aching. And I get to like mile 14 and a half, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, I got to work through this stuff. This has got to get better, but let's see how this goes. And, if I can hold off that pacer until the 4:50 pacer until like mile 18, and she passes me around mile 18, maybe that'll be enough to kind of kick me into gear for those last few miles, those last 8 miles. And I'll be able to kind of just put the pain aside and go after that 4:50. That was my thought at mile 14. And as I'm thinking that, who passes me? The 4:50 pacer. You know how crushing that is mentally? To think, all right, she'll pass me in like 4 or 5 miles down the line, and then she just runs right by. And there was nothing I could do to keep up. Nothing. And she's running 4:50, which on its face isn't really that fast. It's just, I could not keep up. And she dropped me. They just, there's a little group with them. They dropped me. And now I'm crushed and it's mentally, it's like, it's disturbing. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, well, I'm trying to liken it to past experiences. And the one thing in particular I was thinking of was when I ran New York City Marathon a few years ago, and I wasn't really in good shape. I kind of broke down right around the same time. And at mile 17, I met Stephanie. I tried to talk her into letting me DNF, and she wouldn't let me. She walked me to mile 20, and all of a sudden things felt better and I was able to run again. That was 2016. And I ran and I finished. And yeah, the time wasn't great, but yeah, I was able to finish. So at mile 14, I just made the decision, look, let's walk this out. It's going to get better. And I'm walking mile 15. I'm trying to run intervals here and there, but it's just not sticking. Mile 16. Mile 17 is an aid station. And I could see it in the distance, and I'm thinking to myself, man, it's mile 17. I got 9 miles to go. Probably going to take me 2.5 hours to walk that if I can't run. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I left my phone. I don't have my phone with me. I left it back in the hotel. What's Stephanie going to think if I don't finish the marathon and call her within like 5.5 hours, 6 hours? It's going to take me more than 6 hours to walk the rest of this. My friend Harry, I'm supposed to meet him later. I told him I'd call him when this was over. What's going to happen if I don't call him? And it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I finally get home. And he's expecting me to call him at like 1. I'm like, and what's going to happen to me? I'm going to be dead. I'm going to be dead if I walk the rest of this thing. And then I'm thinking of a text message I got right before the race from my friend Joe Bartlett, who is awesome guy. And he's always, this is the kind of text message that you get from someone who trains along with you, watches you, gives you supportive. And it was meant to be supportive. And he says to me, I'm going to read it verbatim. Have fun tomorrow. Be smart. Absolutely zero to gain and a lot to lose. Stay focused on your goal, not the moment. Redemption Race 2019. Now, Redemption Race 2019 is the Lake Placid Ironman for me because I DNF'd it last year. And now I'm walking at mile 17 and I'm thinking to myself, man, what do I have to gain by walking another 9 miles? I get a medal, but I'm going to be out for 2 weeks. If I stop here, I can train. I can pick up my training, which I was so concerned about this tapering. Remember, I didn't taper last week as well as I should have. I did like a bike race, and I pushed myself really hard because I felt like I needed the training. I felt like I was out of training, even though I should be tapering for a marathon. And I'm sitting there walking and I'm thinking to myself, man, this pain, it really hurt. My entire legs were totally seized up. My calves, my hamstrings, my quads, everything hurt. Every step hurt. Every step. And I'm going, what do I have to gain here? So I stop and I talk to the lady with the walkie-talkie. I'm like, lady with the walkie-talkie. Hey, lady with the walkie-talkie. What happens if I can't go and I bail? And she goes, we'll pick you up and we'll drive you to the end. I'm like, all right. It was just too easy. It was too easy to give up at that point. There was too many factors in favor of it didn't make sense to finish, for me to finish. And I'm sitting there walking to that mile 17. I'm thinking to myself, what have I gotten myself into with this podcast, with this group, am I not a marathoner? Is this sport not meant for me? Why am I doing this to myself? This is like the thoughts that go through your head when you're in tremendous pain and you have 9 miles to go to finish a marathon. 5 months ago, I PR'd and broke 5 hours. And I was on top of the world. I had lost 8 pounds since then. I felt like I was training pretty well. I had 3 bad weeks in December. Overall, I felt like I was training well. My bike stuff has improved immensely over that time. So I'm thinking my overall fitness has to improve. And here I am, breaking down at mile 17. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I didn't mentally prepare myself for this. This is a marathon. I didn't mentally prepare myself for adversity and pain. I prepared myself to assume 5 hours. And if you listen to the podcast, the last podcast, that's what I do. I assume 5 hours. I think I said like after 5 hours, anything after, that's not going to happen. It can't happen. I won't accept it. And I shouldn't accept it because I should be better than 5 hours right now. And I'm in this truck. I sat there waiting for like 45 minutes for the truck to come. And I'm watching everyone walk by, run by, walk by, whatever. All people with more heart than me is what I'm thinking. And it's sort of shameful. At least, I know you guys, you're supportive guys out there, you're going to say, hey, it's not shameful. And you're right. And if I was talking to you in the same situation, I would say the same thing. But when you're the person that it's happening to, it feels shameful. And I'm just telling you I'm sharing with you what I felt, and this is what's going through my mind. Why do I do all this to myself? And I'm waiting for 45 minutes sitting on the curb, and I get up from the curb and I kind of walk around and my legs are feeling better. And then I'm feeling like, damn, I should have just waited. Maybe I could have just sat out for like 10 minutes. I would have had better legs and maybe I could have ran again. The truck picks me up and they're asking me medical questions. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm just giving up, which made me feel even worse. They drove me to the end and, I kind of even felt guilty going through kind of that finisher area because I didn't finish. I just kind of walked through and I admit I grabbed the French toast, right? I grabbed the French toast. I didn't take a medal, all right? I didn't take a medal. That would be ridiculous. But the French toast I had to have. It was a shameful French toast, if that's any consolation. But yeah, I went back, called Stephanie, told her. I was upset with myself. I didn't know what to do, I knew that there were people tracking me, so I tweeted out that I DNF'd, and people were actually shocked. I was, 100, I think there were 150 likes on that tweet, which is a lot for me. And not one person said anything negative. Not one. And look, I admit I am open to being judged. You want to judge me? I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Because I know how stupid I was in this marathon. I know how unprepared I was. But in this moment, I wasn't in a good place. I went back to I didn't really hang out. I grabbed the French toast. I went back to the hotel room, cracked a beer, called Stephanie, kind of milled around, took a shower, cracked another beer. Just thinking about the whole race, thinking about what happened. It was on my mind a lot. Met my friend Harry later that night. I took a nap that afternoon for 3 hours and met my friend Harry. We had threw a few down in Scottsdale, which was a lot of fun. And, it got my mind off of it. And I tell you, it's actually good that I didn't do this podcast immediately after it because I don't think it would have been as effective. It wouldn't have been, because I was not mentally in a good place to do this. But when I stop and I look back and I note because I think my thought was, what the hell happened? What the hell happened that I felt so much pain so quickly? And there's so many reasons, right? There's so many reasons. Was it that I didn't taper properly? Was it that I didn't take in enough salt? Was it that I didn't drink enough water? Was it that I didn't train on enough hills? Was it that I took the hills way too fast? Was it that I wasn't mentally prepared to handle adversity so early in the race? Was I concerned over stupid things like my watch? Was it because I didn't bring my watch and I couldn't follow my pace and dictate how fast I was running and monitor and control? And the answer to the question is yes, on everything. All of those things have a part. And when I think about how many stupid mistakes I made, I think, no wonder I DNF'd. When I thought right after the race about it, I thought the hills I took way too fast. I blamed not having the watch. I thought not being mentally prepared and having an easy escape by not having access to the phone and I think Joe's text message to me, which was smart. And it kind of gave me an easy out, and I wasn't mentally prepared to fight against that feeling of you should drop out. That being said, I don't think it was a dumb decision. I'm going to get on the bike later today. Had I finished this race, there's no way I'm getting on the bike today. I would probably, if I did anything, maybe I'd go swimming or do a little elliptical or something like that. But There'd just be no way. I don't know. So I got to kind of get myself back together here. Now, after a few days, I think I've kind of honed in on the real culprit, which was my salt intake during the race. And, as I sat there waiting for the truck, a guy came up and was like, "Hey, can you guys give me a water bottle to the aid station people?" And the lady's like, "Oh, I don't have any." And he's like, "Your aid stations are way too far apart." He's like, I need like a water bottle, something to carry the water with me so that I can drink on the way. And she's like, "I'm sorry, we don't have anything for you." And when I thought about it, I'm like, I feel like there were only like 3, maybe 4 aid stations in the front half. And really they were far apart, like 2, and I'm used to like a mile apart for marathons. I'm used to like almost every mile having an aid station. So I'm taking in 2 small cups of Gatorade over 2 miles when I usually take like one pretty hefty, significant gulp over, every mile. So I don't think I had enough salt. I don't think the electrolytes, all that stuff, I don't think it was good enough. I was unprepared. I didn't have it with me. I didn't have because even the goo gels I have extra salt. I just had nothing. No salt tabs, no base salt, no nothing. And what's weird is that in prior races that would have come to mind immediately, and I would have just jammed a whole bunch of salt down, and hopefully it would have stuck. I also forgot Advil. That was another thing I was going to take with me, and maybe that would have helped the pain, maybe it wouldn't. I don't know. Another thing, I don't stretch. I don't stretch when I work out. I've been saying it for years, I got to stretch and do yoga, and I don't do any of that stuff. It's just terrible. So, I failed myself here, but I'm willing to accept that. And I'm willing to accept the decision that I made because I feel like it was the right thing to do. And today, knowing that I can kind of erase that and go forward and look forward. Look, I just DNF'd a marathon at mile 17, 2/3 of the way through. And in 5 months, I have an Ironman. How the hell am I going to do that? Doesn't that sounds horrible. That sounds like, what am I thinking? But knowing that I did that, the full marathon in October, knowing that I blew myself up this weekend. I totally blew myself up. Every facet of racing. And yet at that starting line, I felt like, I got this under control. I'm good. Man. Amateur mistakes. Amateur mistakes. And, so, today, as I sit here, hey, look, I'm over it. Like I said, judge me if you want. And I'm cool with that. Because I do it too. I look at some people and I go, oh man, look at that guy's time. He was unprepared. He didn't train. I know he didn't train. I do that. I don't say it publicly, but sometimes I think that. And I know I'm normally a supportive guy. And I am vocally, publicly, personally, I'm a supportive person. I'll also tell you, if you ask me how your training's going and I think you're under training, I will tell you you're under training. So I'm honest at least. I'm just polite. I keep that stuff to myself. So listen, judge me if you want. And that's cool. That's cool. Scott, you're a dummy. Scott, you were unprepared. Scott, you didn't train hard enough. Scott, what were you thinking? I deserve it all. And I own up to it. Even better. The point of the matter is, this is where I'm at. I got a lot of improving to do. I got a lot of learning to do, obviously. Sometimes, I think maybe I start taking the sport for granted. Maybe I'm like, I'm in good enough shape now. I'm a marathoner. That's what I do. I marathon. Nope. Not this weekend. So, it's kind of like back to the drawing board. I am going to make some adjustments to my training schedule for Ironman. I do owe you guys one story, and I kind of hesitate to tell you this story, because I did mention it on because it's kind of mean. But I'm not going to use anyone's name, so we're going to tell it. Because whereas a lot of you guys were supportive of me after I posted about the race, and really said some really nice things and gave me a lot of encouragement, and I thank you all for it. And you guys where you guys sort of raised my faith in humanity, one thing I witnessed has completely destroyed it. I'm running at like mile 8, And there's someone there. There's a woman there. And, she stops to walk a little bit, and she kind of hunches over. And I see that there's some like discoloration on her legs. I'm thinking, all right, she put like lotion on. It's kind of like sweaty and running down or whatever. And no, it wasn't that. It wasn't. And there's a reason I know it wasn't that as I walked by. So she's having difficulty. And now look, this is not a laughing matter. This happens to people. You lose control when you run far distances. Now we're at like mile 8 or 9, I think. I don't even know. And she's having problems. And I'm sitting here thinking, all right, I can help. But on the other hand, I don't want to embarrass her because it's an embarrassing situation. And I'm thinking, if I was her, would I want someone to help me, or would I want someone to just ignore me and just please don't even acknowledge this? And I'm thinking, all right, let's just monitor the situation for as long as she's kind of in view. And now, so she's running faster than me when she runs. She's passing me. And then she'll stop and she'll deal with the situation. Now she's wearing gloves, like some kind of cloth gloves. It was cold. I was wearing running gloves myself. And I didn't know if she had any kind of wipe or napkin. I had wipes and I was ready to offer, but then she kind of reached over and she's cleaning the back of her legs where this drippage is going on. It's quite clear what's happening. And I'm like, oh, but then again, if I'm her, I don't know what else I'd do. And again, I tried not to acknowledge it because I didn't know whether I want to embarrass her or I just wanted to keep running. And she was actually handling it very well. Like almost like this is part of what I do. And I think of how uncomfortable it was. Like she keeps running. I'm thinking, geez, like she's going to run this whole way this way. Like she's at mile 8, 18 miles with that situation going on. I don't know that I would be able to do that. So I give it to her for having guts. My God. But this is where I lose my faith in humanity. So here she is cleaning herself off with these gloves. Keeps running. And I'm a little bit behind her at this point. She passes me again. And there's a kid in the road. And you know these signs, right? You know these signs these kids hold up. It's like a little bit of, they draw a little button. It says press here for power, press here for speed, or one of those two. And this woman goes up to this kid's sign with her dirty gloves. And she presses the button. And I'm like, oh, this poor kid has no idea. And they have and what do you do? All I was concerned about was that I wasn't going to touch the sign. So I kind of swung and missed. I was like the only one in the road behind her. So I felt bad not acknowledging the kid, but I wasn't going to touch that sign. So I kind of swung and missed. And I just kept going. And she wound up stopping. I don't think she finished because when I stopped, I built up a little bit of a lead on her. I never saw her again. So I think and then I felt bad because then I felt like maybe she was just running to the next aid station to stop and quit. And, you know, she was a trooper, man, for keeping up and just not quitting. But at the time, man, you don't touch the kid's sign. Don't touch the kid's sign. I've lost faith, guys. I've lost faith. As if walking through Walmart wasn't enough. Oh man. Sorry, Walmart. I am sorry, but you do get to see some crazy humanity there sometimes. Anyway, that was my trip to Phoenix. I know you see I'm judging people. See how I do that? Terrible. But yeah, you know, the SMP is prevalent in the sport. I've heard a lot about it. I've never seen it personally happen to somebody. I've seen it on video happen to people who are fast, who are great at the sport, but I've never seen it happen to someone in real life. And then I saw it and I felt really, really bad until she touched the sign. And then I felt like, man, I got disgusted. But I don't think that had anything to do with my DNF, by the way. Just a story I owed to you guys from the webpage. So look, I'm going to try my best not to be deterred by this. I think I made a lot of mistakes, amateur mistakes at that, and things that can be overcome. I'm going to build up and do more long runs. I have to do more long runs, especially when the weather turns. It's not so bad. We're getting snow today, actually, but we haven't had such a bad winter so far. So if this snow melts, I'm going to try to get outside. I got to be more like Carla, Katie, all you guys, Stu, Jen. You run outside in cold weather. Crazy people. Anyway, so listen, I'm looking forward to fixing these problems. I'm looking forward to training and getting really, again, I think one of the other things I learned is I had my entire preparation for Lake Placid was going to be like 90% bike because I need so much help on the bike. And I think I've decided I gotta keep up the running. I think that the running, the cycling muscles certainly help, but the running muscles and the cycling muscles are significantly different enough that you have to do significant amounts of both. You can't do one or the other. The swimming I've done before on minimal training, so I'm not really concerned about that. I will swim maybe once or twice a week. But the bulk is going to be cycling, and maybe instead of like a 90-10 cycling to swim ratio, cycling to run ratio, it's going to be more like, 70-30 or 60-40, something like that. That's just the changes I got to make. And I have the schedule right in front of me, and I'm going to go through and start making changes today because there's no time like the present. Anyway, listen, guys, I want to thank you again for all the support. It's awesome. Awesome support. Hey, learn from my mistakes. It's an opportunity for you guys too. You can sit there and point at me. Hey, he went through the pain. You're benefiting from all the mistakes I made. So thank you. So you're welcome. Sorry. You're welcome for that. What can I say? What can I say except you're welcome? Anyway, with that, listen, I got a lot of people coming on the show the next few weeks. Mike Swinger, he wrote a book, and actually this is perfect segue it's called Runner's Fix, and I read most of it on the plane. It's sort of like a manual on how to deal with certain different injuries, and we're going to talk to him about that later this week. Actually, that'll be our next podcast, and I could probably use a lot of help from him. I'm going to try to ask him a lot of questions about what he thinks went wrong with my marathon. I bet he'll have a good answer, and then I got a laundry list of people here that I'm going to bring on. I just don't know what order. Some of them are authors, and I have to read books. And I'm a very slow reader, so we're going to have to bring them on one by one. Mike Riley's still in the works. Man, how excited am I for that? That's going to just pump me up for training too. I should probably have him on sooner than later. So we're looking forward to all that. Sign up for the Ordinary Marathon if you haven't already. OrdinaryMarathon.com. Follow the links. Click the big register here button, or register now, I think it says. Like I said, we've got a whole bunch of people already signed up. Looking forward to having just a big party in April and May. A big running party. Love the support from you guys again this week. Thank you so much. And with that, remember, when it comes to running, this isn't even necessary to say this week. When it comes to running, I'm no expert. I'm just ordinary.